Good morning, everyone. I'm Linda, Pinky Mouse Sisters in the Kitchen, and there's only one sister today, so I'm feeling much better. Thank you all for praying for my cold. It was more inconvenient than it was anything else. I did have a sore throat, but anyway, I've got some meds, and I'm on the mend, so I'm fine. And next week, nothing happens, the Lord willing, we'll be back together with my sister Mary and little Linda behind the camera and Carla behind the scenes. So give me just 1 second here. So today, I hope that for all of our members, when you saw this recipe on the membership site, that you didn't get intimidated by it. There's 4 different parts to this, but it's really not hard to make. It's just you make it in sections. So I'm going to just give you just a brief little, tell you a little bit about what I'm doing. The cookie dough that I'm using for the base of the pizza, or the crust, if you will, is in our recipe book. It's I'm using the Scandinavian almond cookie bar, or Scandinavian almond bars. That's the dough that I'm using. So if you have our cookbook, or if you're a member on our Pinky Mouse Kitchen, www.pinkymousekitchen.com, then you will have the whole recipe. But it's going to be fairly easy to follow. I'm using the Big Stone. I've lightly oiled this because they frown on spraying on the stone, so I've really lightly oiled it, and it's going to be a big dessert pizza. So if you've ever wondered why you would want to do something for a party, whether it was a kid's party or even a get-together with your girlfriends, or just a couple's night or something, and you wanted to do something different, or maybe a church party, this is something really fun to do, and it's something different. Rather than cupcakes or a cake or cookies, this is just something fun. So I've got my butter in here. It's softened, and I'm going to, y'all gonna hear a little bit of noise now because I've got to cream my butter and eggs and sugar, but I'll try to get this done without too much noise. So I'm gonna try to do this not hurriedly because it's gonna take a while to get it all together, but I'm gonna try to not to take any longer than I have to with the mixer on. So I've got the oven preheated to 325. I'm using Imperial extra fine sugar. It is really worth the extra money that you pay for this because the sugar dissolves better. It's not grainy like a regular sugar is. I'll go ahead and crack my eggs while I'm doing this, and that way I got a thing out over there to put them in, but I'll just use this one. That way I won't have to at least stop and crack them. So I'll get this done. And you can cream your ingredients longer than I'm doing. I'm going to just make sure that they're all incorporated, and then I'm going to get my eggs in there and add my other ingredients. Pour my eggs in one at a time. Okay, so you'll see that it's just all creamed together real good. That's eggs, butter, and sugar. I'm going to add my flavorings, and because this is Scandinavian almond, I am using almond extract. You can leave this out if you don't like almond or if you have somebody that's allergic to almond. But I love the taste of almond, so I'm going to use almond in it as well as some vanilla. Almond just smells so fresh and good. It's just, I just really do love almond flavoring. Well, it's not flavoring, it's extract. It's not a use the real thing. That makes a big difference when you're baking. My philosophy has always been, if you're going to bake, use the best ingredients you can afford, because it really makes a difference in how your food turns out in taste. So I'm going to just give this a really quick stir. Now I'm going to add my flour and my salt and my baking powder. And the way I always do when I'm adding my dry ingredients, I always add half the flour, and then I add my baking powder and soda, or baking powder, soda, or salt, or whatever, because I want some flour in it before I start adding the dry ingredients. And the other thing is, because it helps me remember. I know I've added half, so I don't have to go back and say, did I do 1 cup of flour or did I do 2 cups of flour? So it's just something that I started doing a long time ago. And this is all-purpose flour. And because this is not, it's not a set amount of cups. I mean, it's not equal amounts of cups. So I'm going to do 2 cups, and then I'm going to add my baking powder and salt in here. Let's see. And sometimes I'll make little marks by my recipe so I know what I put in it, so I don't have to go back and guess or wonder. You get distracted, the phone rings, or husband hollers at you, and you run in there to see what he wants, and then you come back and say, did I put 1 cup, did I put 2 cups? You can tell once you get the stuff mixed up if you've got enough flour in it or not. But to me, it's just so much easier to do it like this. So I'm going to add my baking powder, and I add all of the baking powder and salt after I add the flour. So I'm adding all of this. And let's see here, make sure I've got the right amount of baking powder. This might seem like a lot for the members that have this recipe, and for you in the cookbook, but it's right. Have you ever noticed that little thing on the side when you're doing your baking powder? If you want to level that off, just pull your spoon right by that little thing, and that levels it off. So I use that all the time. Okay, so we got the baking powder in there. Now we're going to put the salt in there. I am going to get me a salt box. Every time I'm in town, I forget to look for one, and then I take it out of the salt shaker. But I'm going to get me one soon. I promise y'all I will. Okay, so I got, now I can add the rest of my flour. And normally if I wasn't doing this on live, I would add some and mix it. In fact, I think I will mix this and before I add the rest of it. I don't have just a whole bunch of flour in there. This is a really excellent cookie dough recipe. I've had this recipe for probably 35 years or more, and it's a really good one. Get a little bit more flour in here, so I'll do that before I finish this up here. I keep a canister full of flour because I use a lot of flour in baking. Okay, let's see if I got all that. I got my baking powder, my salt, my sugar, my eggs, my extracts, and my salt. I believe that's it. Okay, now let me get this mixed up together. This is a kind of a stiff dough, so when you're making this, be prepared that it is stiff. Pour a little bit of milk in here, just a little bit. Okay, now I'm going to get this out of the way, and then I'm going to show y'all that this mixture looks crumbly. But I'm going to wash my hands just real quick, and then I'm going to show y'all how this mixture is going to look. So this is a recipe that I did not make Christmas, and my sister-in-law Debbie and her daughter Misty, this is their favorite cookie recipe, and I felt so guilty because I didn't make this Christmas because they always look forward to it, and I just ran out of time and I didn't get to make it. But I want you to look at this. That looks very crumbly. It doesn't look like it's going to come together, but once you push this down, see, it just forms a really good ball. So don't let it fool you when you're mixing it up. You think, oh my goodness, I've done something wrong. It needs something else in it. Mine didn't look like yours. So use your little bowl scraper or spatula to kind of smush it all together. And a good cookie dough will always come clean from the bowl. And that's one thing that I always look for in recipes. If you got a cookie dough that the batter doesn't come clean from the bowl, I'd be afraid that it wasn't exactly the way I wanted it. So you see that? That's how I gauge it. So I'm going to move this over here, get this out of the way, and rinse. Well, it's not going to do any good for me to rinse my hands again because I'm going to do this with my hands. So I'll just wipe that excess off. And so what I'm going to do, I'm going to sit down, pull my chair with the paper towel so I'm not touching it. So this is a, goodness, I think it's a 15 or 16 inch. There I go, touching paper again. Now I've got to get up and wash my hands again. It's a big stone. Okay, now I'm ready to go. So what you want to do is you want to just kind of work this out from the middle and just kind of do it with your palms. Now, you could put a little here, a little there, and a little there if you wanted to. I might do that sometimes, but this time I'm just going to put it in the center and work it out because you want to cover this whole stone. And you can take a rolling pin if you wanted to, like the baker's roller, and roll it out to get it even to the sides. And this is just one recipe. This is not a double. This is the one recipe. So when I get it all smashed out, it'll be hopefully pretty even. So I was thinking, you know, of course we think about that February as being Valentine's month, and because we have to cook ahead of time, we try to think of things that y'all could do for that month, for whatever holiday or special day it is or something. But I think this would be really great to fix for a nice little Valentine's party. And it's because this is so big, because this tray is so big, or stone, the pieces that you cut, you're going to cut it with the pizza cutter. And the pieces that you cut are going to be small, but they're going to be big, because if you go to the center, this is going to make a really big piece. So it would be still a nice serving, even though it'll be a narrow serving. Something like they would do with a cheesecake, except this stone is much bigger than a cheesecake pan. So let me get this mashed out. Still got a little mound here in the middle. And there may be a little bit too much. If it is, I'll take it out. If you don't have a stone, or if you don't have a pizza pan that's this big, you could do this in a smaller pizza pan. You could do it on I wouldn't do it on a cookie sheet without an edge, because you want that lip around here, because we're going to put a lot of toppings on this, and we don't want that to slide off. So you kind of want this edge here. So I'm just kind of working this around to where the dough is basically, though it's sweet, it's a dessert, it's going to basically look like a pizza crust. So, and I'm not going to do any kind of fancy edge. I want it to be rustic looking. So, if you wanted to get fancy with it, you could. But I just want this to come out to the edge with a little indentation around the edge. So it kind of looks like a pizza dough. So I was thinking this morning when I was getting this ready about when we were kids in school, and we would get Valentine's on Valentine's Day. We would fix a box most of the time, and I don't know why we use cigar boxes, but that's what kids used back in school. We didn't have cigar boxes in our house, so I guess we must have got them either from Mr. Prudhomme or got them from some store that was throwing them away or something. I'm not sure where we got them from. But we use cigar boxes for to decorate to put our Valentines in, and we also use them for pencils and stuff like that too. But and we probably, a box of Valentines when I was in grammar school was probably a quarter, probably for 30 or 32. And now, this morning when I went in there to get some of my supplies, I knocked some cards on the floor, and the cards that I bought are like $6 or $7 a piece, and you could get cards at the dollar store too for $1. I couldn't get what I wanted, so I bought 2 special ones at Walmart. But cards are very, very expensive now compared to what they were when we were kids. It was we always looked forward to seeing what kind of cards. They were funny, they wasn't elaborate like open cards, and they're like 3D now. These were just little old-timey cute little cards. Cupid, will you be my Valentine, with the arrow and everything. But it brought back a lot of memories to me when I was thinking about this morning. And of course, every kid always wanted to see how many Valentines they got in their box. And the kids would come in and they would put one in each kid's box. You'd have a little slot in the middle with your name on it, decorated. And then at the end of the day, you'd see how many Valentines you got and take them home. It was certainly, times were certainly different back then. Okay, so I'm hoping that I've got this pretty much even. It may not be completely even, but I think I've got it pretty much even. And so here is my crust. Now there's one last step that I want to do with this before I stick it in the oven. And I'm going to use the rest of my milk. Now y'all have seen us brush rolls with milk before. This recipe just calls for you to brush the top of this cookie dough with milk. So I'm just going to lightly brush it. This is just whole milk that I'm using. And again, it's just, I don't know if it gives it extra moisture, which I'm sure it does, like you do when you put it on rolls. It's to keep it from drying out. But I've always done it like this because that's what the recipe that I got years ago, that's what it called for. So I'm just brushing it with the milk, and it will cook like this. Now I'm going to put this in the oven for about 15 minutes. I'm just going to pour the rest of that on there. at 325, and I'll check it. If it's not quite done, I'll cook it another 2 or 3 minutes, but I wanted to cook it for, to start with, I'm going to cook it for about 15 minutes. So there's my crust for my pizza. So I'm going to put it in the oven, and then I'm probably going to move the camera over there because we're going to do the next part, which is going to be the sauce to go on top of it. Okay, so I got it in the oven. I set the timer for 15 minutes. I'm going to have a mess when I get through here, but I pretty much usually always do. So now I'm moving over here, and let's see if we can, I believe you can see that. Okay, so somebody's saying something about look at comments. What is the stone? That's a Pampered Chef white, large white round stone is what I'm using. It is not sugar cookie dough. Mary asked me this morning, she said, why didn't you, I'm telling my sister, why didn't you just buy some sugar cookie dough? I said, are you serious? There is no way I would have put no bulk cookie dough on this. I make my own dough. She was just thinking of something to cut down on the time because I was telling her all the different steps in it. So anyway, I've got some milk here, or half and half. You can use half and half milk or heavy whipping cream. And I'm going to heat this, and I'm going to heat it for probably about a minute. And then I like to do different things to give a little bit of extra flavor. So I'm going to mix this Land O'Lakes, it's French vanilla. This is my favorite hot cocoa. They're packed, they've got several different flavors, but this is my favorite. And I'm going to mix it with the milk, whisk it in together. And I'm going to melt my chocolate chips. Now this is our sauce that we're working on. I'm going to melt this, and I'm going to pour this hot chocolate over the chips. And that's going to be my sauce. And I think this is going to give it a little bit of extra flavor. So I got my little whisk here ready to go to whisk that up. I got my toppings over here, and I got my drizzle over here. So we got 4 parts to this. All my life, y'all know that Mama she was a very practical person. We didn't even buy her flowers until later on in life. She felt like that it was something that was a waste of money, and although it wasn't, she just probably more than likely just didn't want us spending money on flowers for her. So this milk is hot. I'm gonna pour my cocoa mix in it. And I'm going to put this in the microwave, and I'm going to put this on probably a minute and a half. Melt this. So I'm going to whisk this together right here. It's hot. Bowl's hot. This is our silicone pretzels. It smells so good. I love this cocoa. Now I'm not putting marshmallows in it because I'm going to use that as one of the toppings. So Mama was always very practical. She did not believe in spending money that didn't need to be spent. And if she had something, she wanted to make something, and she needed something. If she had something, she used what she had. She did not go out and buy it like we do today. You know, I know there's substitutions, and there's things that in a pinch that we do substitute. But for the most part, my mama used, and my daddy did too. They used what they had. And when I was growing up, and not too long after Mike and I got married, you know, it got close to Valentine's Day. Well, I didn't want flowers and I didn't want candy. We always bought candy the day after Valentine's when we got it for half price. And we always bought Mama candy the day after Valentine's. And then when we would take it to her, when we would see her, we'd give it to her. But, and she loved that because we got it for half price. But I tell Mike, he said, what do you want for Valentine's? I said, I want clothes. I don't want flowers and I don't want candy. I want something that I can use for a long time. So it just kind of became a tradition when we, you know, in our younger years of marriage, when Valentine's Day rolled around, he bought me, or either gave me money and went with me, and we shopped. And I remember one Valentine's Day, we were living in Fort Worth, and we went to this little specialty store off of Roof Snow, there off of 820, and I bought, one year I bought a red shirtwaist dress with little white hearts in it. I wore that dress for years. Now this was back in the day when I wore a size 6 or size 8, and you could fit me a lot better than you can now. And then one year we went back to the same store, and I got 2 blouses, and I believe that I still have the blouses. And they were, one of them was white. It had eyelet around the sleeve, and each button was a different shaped button, and they were hearts. Some of them were hearts, and some of them were round, some of them were square. And then the other one was a denim blouse, and it also had different shaped buttons. I wore those blouses literally till I almost wore them out, and I think they're still hanging in my closet. So that's my memories with Valentine's. I bought flowers for Mike, and Mike has bought flowers for me. In times past, we just don't spend money on that, because not that I don't think it's nice and that it's wonderful, but I'd rather have something I can wear the next week than having flowers that's going to wilt in a few days. So I love flowers. I do, and I've had flowers sent to me several times this past year that I really did like and I appreciated. But we're just very practical people, so that's what we usually did. Okay, this is hot, so I'm using my little thing to get this out of the oven, and they're not quite melted, so I'm gonna do this a little bit, another minute, and then I'm going to take it out and stir it, and we'll pour this hot chocolate over and see if we can get that kind of melted real good. So, let's see. Some of y'all are so funny. We love all of our followers. We love all of our viewers, our friends, we do. Some of you might not know that a big part of what Mary and I do is we talk and we reminisce. We not only cook, but we do that too. That's who we are. That's what we do. That's what we've always done. It's not something we've just started in the last 2 years. We've always done this. So you hear our brothers talk about these girls talking. Well, that's what we've done all of our lives. So we hope that you like what we do. But, I know that we can't do everything that everybody likes. But we do appreciate so much the nice comments and everybody that watches us faithfully. We really do appreciate it. Okay, so these are real shiny. They're starting to melt, and if you'll see that, you can see that it's really almost melted. Now I'm going to pour some of this in here because I don't want this thick. I want it to be a sauce. I'm going to pour a little bit of it in there. You might not need the whole thing. I'm going to pour it in there, and I'm going to stir this. I don't want it to seize up on me. I want it to be spreadable, is what I want it to be. So I'm going to heat this again. Now, when you're normally heating chocolate chips like they did yesterday, you might not necessarily want any kind of liquid in it, but I want this to be kind of like a sauce, so I've added something, and I'm going to keep stirring this. I'm going to heat it a little bit more. So I want it to be a spreading consistency, and I'll see if I want to add a little bit more of that chocolate in here, the liquid. Let's see here. I don't care if y'all think you have to see my face, but I want you to try to see what I'm doing here. So when that comes out of the oven, I'm going to immediately cover this in the sauce because I want it to go on real smooth. This is really, really a good consistency, and I'm going to probably melt this just for another few seconds, not long, just for a couple more, maybe like 10 seconds or something. So this is, the first time I put it in there, I did it for a minute, 30 seconds. I took it out and started this. No, I didn't start the first time. Then I put it in there for another minute, and I took it out and stirred it and added the chocolate. And now I'm going to put it in for 10 seconds. And then I'm going to start it again. So, and I'm going to try to go back and look at your comments in a minute. But I want to get this done because I want this to be ready to go on the pizza when it comes out of the oven. And then we'll start with our toppings. So, so you see this is a pretty thick sauce. You may have a little bit more than you need, but that's a big, big stone. It's a big pizza. So I'm thinking that we're probably going to use all of this. Now I'm going to cover this up with just a piece of foil because I don't want it to get cold. I'm just going to cover this up. Now I didn't use quite all of my chocolate, but I'll heat that after a while and I'll use that for, I'll drink it in a little bit. So, I'll bring you over here. Let's see, we got a little over 3 more minutes before I need to check my cookies, my dough. And for my toppings, I've got miniature marshmallows. I've got sliced almonds. Now, I normally toast these, but I didn't toast them because I'm going to put them in the oven under the broiler, and I didn't want to have toasted and then broiled. So, these are very thin. And I love these little sliced almonds. And then I've got maraschino cherries, and I've cut these in half. So that's going to be what's going to go on top of the sauce. As soon as I get the sauce spread, then I'm going to immediately put this on there. And I picked up these little doilies the other day. I got chocolate in my hand. And I think I just got these in, I don't know. I think I must have got them in Hobby Lobby or Michael's. I may have got them in Michael's. I think I did. They're red and white. So if you're serving these and you're having a party or however you're doing, this would be real pretty to put a slice on a plate with a little doily. And I'd probably alternate the white and the red, and that way you could set a real pretty table. And if you're doing it informally and you're using paper plates, just stick one of the little doilies on top of the paper plates. And, you know, you can usually get party stuff, usually 40, 50, 60% off. Or go to the dollar store. Go to Dollar Tree. Mary shops a lot at Dollar Tree. And I do too, but I don't do as much as Mary because it's an out-of-the-way stop for me. I've usually passed it by the time I turn it in Walmart, and I just don't go back around there. So, excuse me. That almond kind of went down the wrong way. Where's my water at? I had water at it, what I did with it. Well, I'll just get me another bottle out. I'll drink it. I drink a lot of water every day. That's the most thing I drink is water. So I usually drink 5 or 6 bottles a day. I try to limit myself to tea because I love sweet tea and I don't like the artificial stuff. So when I make sweet tea, I'll drink the whole pitcher over a course of 2 or 3 days. So I limit myself how much of that I can have. Okay, now I'm going to go back and see if I can see some of the comments. Someone was asking something. Oh my goodness, Diane, your mother is 91 and still has some of her Valentines from school. How incredible is that? Say hello to your mother for us. Let's see here. Hi, Marla. Marla, I am under that cozy Minky that you sent us. I absolutely love that. I'm constantly, ever since it's turned cold, and especially this past few days that I've been under the weather a little bit, I absolutely love it. Okay, I'm trying to see if there's, yep, Dollar Tree has gone up on their prices. Okay, my buzzer's going off, so I'm going to push the camera back just a pinch, and I'm going to check my dough and see if it's done, and it may not be. And if it's not, I'm going to bake it 2 or 3 more minutes. And it's not done, so I'm going to have to bake it. I'm going to bake it probably another 5 minutes. So depending on what your oven is like, you may need to bake this longer than what I've got in the recipe, and depending on what size pans you're using. So I've set it an additional 5 minutes, and just because of us being on air here, I normally cook these at 325. I'm going to turn it up to 350 and bake it the last 5 minutes on 350. So, okay, let me go back and see if I can see any comments. I am feeling much, much better. And I miss Mary, but y'all know why we're doing this, because I don't want her getting a cold. And so we're just taking every precaution, because she doesn't need to cough with her trying to recover from that surgery and have a sore throat and be dealing with more pains than what she's already dealing with. So Connie's watching today. Thank you, Connie. And if you're interested in the stone, if you'll message us, we'll give you more information about that. Oh, Dwayne, y'all and Rhonda, y'all use cigar boxes too. I just don't, I guess it was just something that was available back then. And I know we used a lot of them. They were very sturdy boxes. Y'all decorated, Michelle, y'all decorated shoe boxes. That's a great idea too. Y'all are a little bit younger than we are, Michelle. At least Michelle, I know Michelle is. Okay. And the pizza pan is the large white stone. And yes, it is Pampered Chef. Okay. And everybody knows this, but, you know, we don't allow any kind of advertising on our page other than what Mary and I do, so, or authorize. So, save yourself a little trouble. No, don't do that. So that's kind of funny too. But anyway, okay. I'm trying to see, there were some questions back here, and I can't seem to find them, and I'm sorry that I'm doing this because it looks like my face is right in the camera, but that's the only way that, yeah, that's why I like that mixer. I don't deal well with cords. If y'all have seen me in the kitchen before, and you haven't, when I've been making tiered cakes, and I'm making 4 or 5 batches of cake batter at a time, and I'm using a bowl this deep, my little hand mixer, it won't fit all the way down in there without the cord getting in the batter. And that just was just a pet peeve of mine. I would start mixing it, and it was so much easier to mix multiple batters, but it was just dealing with that cord. So I was very happy when I was able to have a mixer that didn't have a cord in it. Okay, let's see. I just, for some reason, I'm not being able to go back and see a whole lot of these messages like I'd like to. Pam, I'm really sorry about the loss of your grandma. It doesn't matter, and she did live a long life. It doesn't matter how old they are. It's still hard to let them go. Both of our grandmothers lived to be in their 90s, and it's very difficult to see them leave, because they meant so much to us. And people that grew up with their grandmothers, or that had a really close relationship with their grandparents, it's really hard to explain to someone that didn't. But it's like, they're your second parents. I mean, they're there through, and especially with us, because we grew up next door to Pinky Mom, Pinky Paw. I mean, we were like steps from their house, and every day of our life, we were in their house, they were in ours, and it's just, Edward and I were usually out there before Mom and Daddy even got up. I mean, that's what we did. We just got up early and went over to Pinky Mom and Pinky Paw's. We'd eat breakfast with them many a morning. And then when Mama would have breakfast fixed, we'd go back and eat breakfast with her. I guess that's probably why we like breakfast so well. We got in trouble sometimes too for doing it, but we did it. We did it a lot. So I still don't find the comment that I was trying to find about, somebody said she'd go back and look at the comments. It's kind of hard to do when you're by yourself, but I wanted to, at least try to see if I could see anything on there. And okay, my buzzer's going off again. And I think the reason this hasn't quite cooked is I probably had a little bit too much dough on here, so I'm going to have to bake this a little longer, and I apologize that it's taken longer to cook this. I'm used to cooking this in bars, this recipe in bars, and it's not quite as thick as what it is now. So I'm going to put in an additional 5 minutes, and okay. For all of you who are giving us stars, I don't know what just flashed over there, but thank you for, we don't mention that a lot, but thank you very much for the stars. Sometimes we forget. But so if y'all are making this on this stone, you're probably going to want to take some of the dough off. Now, I didn't make this ahead of time. Mary and I used to make our recipes ahead of time. We don't always get to do that. So I would probably take about a third of the dough off, and that way it won't be quite as thick as this one's going to be. And pizza dough, you can get thin crust or thick crust. I really kind of wanted it to be stable. I didn't want it to be real thin. So that was probably, I probably should have took that in consideration and took a little of the dough off. But at least y'all won't do the same thing that I did. And if you want it thick, well, just do it like I did, because the dough is going to be a little bit thick. So, dish towels. This one I bought at, I'm not sure if I bought it at TJ Maxx, Michael's, or if I got it in a Hobby Lobby. These were Christmas gift towels that one of my nieces and nephews gave us. I'm pretty sure I got that one in Hobby Lobby, but I'm not positive, the one in the middle. Somebody did have a star party, Michelle. I didn't know what was going on. I was hoping I didn't touch something to start something and make it be wrong. But anyway, so I would like to ask everybody, we try to mention this every time, we're trying to build our viewership on YouTube. And our YouTube channel is Pinky Mall's Kitchen. It's capital P-I-N-K-Y, capital M-A, apostrophe S, space, kitchen. And it's just like I said it just then. So if you have people that some people don't watch Facebook, they're on YouTube, but they don't watch Facebook. If you have friends or someone that that are not on Facebook but are on YouTube, or you want to watch us on YouTube, go to our channel, subscribe to it. It doesn't cost anything. Be sure to watch our videos. And when you're watching our videos on Facebook or YouTube, hit the like button. We've been kind of evened out on our likes and everything, so we're trying to let everyone know to just remember to hit the like button. And we love for y'all to share us. it's just a favor that we'd like to ask y'all to do, to like and share us. And keep in mind that sharing our videos is not the same as the people that, you know, that take them and put them on their page and their group. So when you're watching us, if you're watching us and you see us here, if you have joined a Facebook group, please leave that group. We are a public page. We've always been a public page. So if you're in that group, you're helping someone that is not honest. So please, we work very hard to bring these to y'all, and we love to do it, and we love y'all, and we love that you watch us. But for those that are part of these groups, just please leave that group, because as long as there's members there, they're gonna keep showing our videos. So and if you want our recipes, go to our website. It's www.pinkymallskitchen.com. There's no spaces, no punctuation. It's just www.pinkymallskitchen.com, and it's PINKYMAS kitchen.com. You can see our products that are there. You can also scroll down till you see membership. If you want our recipes, there's a small monthly fee. It's $5.99 plus whatever taxes is applicable in your area. You can stop or start anytime. You will also get to see the video there and the recipe, and get to, you know, to print the recipe. The recipes are printable. So we appreciate all of our members, everyone. We also try to have extra content on there to you know, to give you a little bit extra something. Okay, my buzzer's going off now. I'm hoping this dough's done this time. All right, let's see. It smells good. It's still pretty soft, but it is getting brown. I don't like these pot holders, so I'm going to have to get me some more pot holders here. Those are slick. And I do not want to drop something. Okay. That's very big. That is a lot of dough. I'm going to set it up here. I'm going to turn the oven off, because when I turn it back on, we're going to put it on broil. So I've got my chocolate. I'm just thank y'all for being patient with me on this, cooking this dough. I'm going to just pour this on here and smooth it out. Now the dough is hot. I want to try to get all this out of here if I can, but I need to start smoothing it out too. So you just want to bring it out to almost to the edge. Don't that look good? This chocolate smells so good. Now you'll notice that I'm not bringing the chocolate out all the way to the edge, but I'm bringing it almost all the way to the edge, because I want to leave that little piece of crust there on it. So see how fast that went? Isn't that beautiful? So let me just back this up. I'm going to turn the oven on broil, and I'm going to put it on low, because broiling something in the oven, you have to be very, very careful. If you have it on high, it will burn in a New York second, and I'm serious, I've done it before. So you want to have it on low so it does not burn all your beautiful hard work. So give me just a second here. Okay, so I've got my marshmallows. And I'm going to just kind of position them on here. I probably could have stuck them on here a little bit faster than I did, but because that chocolate set really fast. But I'm going to try to get some to where it's going to be in every piece. That's what I'm planning to do. I hope I can do that. If I hadn't been talking and I would have put these marshmallows on there first, they would have set on here a little bit better. But I'm gonna fix that. So now on these toppings, you can get creative. I'm just gonna gently mash this down, which you'll see it'll set on the chocolate a little bit better. You can get creative about your toppings. If you don't want marshmallows and what I'm putting on it, then you can use anything you want. Like you can do white chocolate chips. You could actually do a peanut butter sauce. I wanted these turned over, and so the top side would be up, and I may not get to do that, but I'm going to work on it, try to. You could use a marshmallow cream for the sauce. You could use a jelly. Let's see, what else could you use for the sauce? You could use butterscotch. Anything with chocolate chips you could use as a sauce that you can melt. And the toppings are just endless. You can chip up or chop up Reese's peanut butter cups. That's my husband's favorite candy. He loves peanut butter Reese's cups. Now you can put more cherries on it if you want. And so you could basically make your own toppings. If you don't like what I've got on here and these almonds, then I'm just going to scatter these out. And what I'm hoping is when these marshmallows melt, that these almonds will just melt right down into the marshmallows. The almonds will melt into the marshmallows. I'll get it right in a second. So, like I told y'all earlier, we love almonds. And this particular cookie, you put these sliced almonds on top. You actually bake it on there. So I'm kind of keeping with the theme of the almond in the cookie dough by putting the sliced almonds on the top. And so we kind of got this on here. Now I'm going to put this on in the oven. Get my hands washed. I don't want to get sticky on my stone. And I'm going to, let's see if I can pick, whoop, that's hot. Can't do that. Have a pot holder. So I'm going to stick this in here. And I'm going to watch this very, very closely. Oops, don't want to do that. So I'm going to set the timer for 2 minutes. And it's probably not even going to take 2 minutes, but I'm going to set it for 2. And then I've got some powdered sugar here. It's imperial powdered sugar. And I'm going to get a little bit of milk. And I'm going to whisk this together to make a drizzle. And I think I'm going to move everything back over here. Y'all give me a second here to do the drizzle with. I still need my flavorings, so I'll leave that there. You don't realize how much you miss that extra person, which is my other half, my sister, until you don't have that person with you, and then you realize how much help they are to you. So, where's my whisk? There's my whisk. That's what I'm looking for. So I need to get this clean. So we're not going to be real fancy with the drizzle. You can You can get fancy if you want to, but I'm going to watch this real close. I sure don't want it to get too dark. So I'll go ahead and do this. Get me some milk here and get this whisk up. I'm sorry, seem like I'm moving this around so much. But I want y'all to see the finished product. I like these little cups because you don't worry about having to pour too much in there. You can just pour a little in there and make sure you don't get too much. Okay, it's getting brown. It's not quite there, so I'm gonna do this on one more minute, and then I'm gonna take it out, set it over here. I think I'll get my big round pot holder to sit this on. And I'll do the drizzling over here from this side. I didn't like the round one, so I got the others. Almost ready. So let's see how much we can get done with this before I get that out. Now I'm going to put some flavoring in this too. I'm going to put some almond extract, and I'm going to put a little bit of vanilla in it too. And I'm not even going to measure this. I'm just going to pour just a tiny bit. Okay, I think we're good. So let's get this out. And then I'm going to bring this over here. So y'all bear with me a minute. I'm going to take it out of the oven. And you'll see that the edges of this is nice and golden. That's how I wanted it. And you'll see that the almonds also toasted. So I'm going to set this over here. That looks so good. Get my oven off, and I will move the camera back over here. Y'all bear with me. Y'all have been so patient so far. I'll let y'all look at that while I get the stuff that I need back over here. Okay. All right, I'm going to pour just a tiny bit of vanilla, and you could use clear if you wanted to. I didn't get the clear out, so I'm just going to put a couple of drops of the real vanilla in here, and mix some more milk in it because I want it to be at the consistency that I can drizzle it. I'm just totally knocking that out of there. Let me pick it up. Maybe that'll do better. Now, when you're working with powdered sugar, the liquid goes a long way. So start with a little and don't add it all at one time, because you may not need it all. And you want this at a drizzling consistency, so you want to be very careful and not have it so thin that it's just going to disintegrate when you put it on that hot pizza. So normally you would let this pizza cool a little bit before you put the drizzle on it, but I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to drizzle some on it like it is now, and we will and then I'll put a pretty drizzle on it once it gets cool enough. So when I do the finished picture, it will look a lot prettier than what you're going to see at this moment. So, and I'm going to try to cut a piece and get a piece out for you. Now I've got bags and tips to drizzle this. But because it really needs to cool completely before I do that, I'm just going to do a little drizzle with the whisk, which you can do that too. So I hope everybody has got a good enough picture of what this is going to look like. And again, this is going to look a lot prettier when it cools and I do the drizzle on it. But this is something that your kids could do. They could help do, especially if it's going to be a party that kids are going to be invited to. I'm going to save this because I'm going to do a better drizzle with that once it cools well enough, so it'll stay on there, not run off. I'm going to use the pizza roller here, or cutter, and I'm going to see if I can get a good slice out of this. Now, if you'll notice, these are going to be very big slices, so I'm just going to cut just a little bit in here, and it's very, very soft, so I may not can get it out right now, but I'm going to try to get a little piece out if I can, just to show. And it absolutely may not work, because I can tell when I'm cutting it, it's extremely soft, and that's because it hasn't set. So more than likely, this piece I'm taking out is probably going to tear up. So just FYI, this really needs to set before you take it out. I'm going to take this out on a wing and a prayer, just to show it to you, to show you what it's going to look like. So once this sets, it will be a lot easier to cut. So let me get my fork and taste of it. Get that little bit out of here. So that edge is just lightly brown. That's how you want it to look. I want to get a bite of the cherry, and I want to get a bite of the chocolate. So thank you, Jesus. I hope that everyone has enjoyed this. I hope you love it. I hope you'll get in the kitchen and try it. Oh my goodness. That tastes like Christmas and every holiday rolled into one. There's so much flavor to that. The cookie dough is really tender. It's this is a great cookie dough. And again, you need to let this set because it will firm up before you cut it. So you could make this ahead of time and have it set real good. I wouldn't put it in the refrigerator. I'd let it set in a cool space. Like, I have 2 freezers in my utility room, and that's where I put stuff to cool it, and just let it set for a while. Now, you don't want to put this hot stone somewhere where there's cold air blowing on it. If you do, it's going to break it. But put it somewhere where it's like, you know, room temperature, not near the oven, and it will set, and the cookie dough will firm up. So I hope you've enjoyed this program today. I appreciate everyone that's watched. I appreciate all the comments. I haven't been able to read very many, but I'll go back and look at those afterwards. And thank you, Carla, for being behind the scene. And I know Mary was watching too. And we look forward to next week being back together, working together, me and Mary, and having Little Linda behind the camera. So get in the kitchen with your kids and grandkids. Make some sweet memories. We will not be here forever, so it's really good to spend the time that you have making memories with your sweet friends and family. So I love y'all. Don't forget to count your blessings. Thank you all so much for praying for my sister. I really appreciate that more than you'll ever know. And thank you again for your love and support. And be sure to count your blessings, because we have so much to be thankful for. Bye-bye.